The universe breathes in silence. Between the scattered light of distant suns, where darkness stretches across unimaginable distances, something moves. It drifts through the cosmic void like a forgotten memory, carrying with it the weight of eons and the whisper of worlds long dead. Picture the moment of first contact, not with intelligence, but with the unknown. Deep within the Atacama Desert, radio telescopes pivot skyward, their mechanical eyes scanning frequencies that have traveled billions of years to reach us. The operators sit in quiet concentration, watching data streams cascade across their monitors in endless rivers of numbers and symbols. Then, something changes. A faint signal emerges from the background noise of the cosmos. At first, it appears to be nothing more than another piece of cosmic debris, perhaps a distant asteroid catching starlight, or the dying echo of some far-off stellar explosion. But as hours pass and the signal grows stronger, a different picture begins to emerge. This object moves with purpose, following a trajectory that defies the random wandering of space rock. The astronomers name it 3I Atlas, marking it as the third confirmed interstellar visitor to grace our solar system. But even as they assign it this clinical designation, something feels different about this arrival. Unlike its predecessors, this visitor carries an aura of intentionality, as if the very fabric of space itself had been preparing us for its coming. The object emerges from the constellation Perseus, riding gravitational currents that have carried it across the galaxy for millennia. Its approach vector suggests a journey that began when Earth was still a molten ball of rock, when the first stirrings of life were nothing more than chemical possibilities floating in primordial seas. What intelligence could have conceived such a patient voyage? What civilization possessed the foresight to launch something that would arrive precisely when humanity had developed the tools to detect it? As 3I Atlas draws closer to our solar system, its true nature begins to reveal itself in ways that challenge every assumption about cosmic visitors. The object glows with a subtle green radiance that seems to pulse in rhythm with some internal mechanism. Spectral analysis reveals elements that shouldn't exist in such combinations. Metals forged in stellar cores that died billions of years ago, arranged in patterns that speak of artificial construction rather than natural formation. The first photographs arrive like messages from another world. Grainy and distant, they show an elongated form that catches and reflects light in impossible ways. Surface features become visible as geometric patterns that follow mathematical progressions found nowhere in nature. Scientists study these images with growing unease, recognizing that they are looking at something that challenges the very foundations of their understanding. In the hushed corridors of observatories around the world, conversations take on a different tone. The usual excitement of discovery mingles with something darker, a creeping realization that humanity may not be as alone as it once believed. Radio dishes turn toward the approaching visitor, listening for any sign of communication, any hint of the intelligence that might have created it. But 3I Atlas maintains its silence, drifting through space like a ghost ship carrying secrets from the deep. Its trajectory remains steady, its purpose unknown, its origin lost in the vast distances between stars. As it approaches the inner solar system, bringing with it questions that may never be answered, one thing becomes clear. The universe has sent us a visitor that will forever change how we see our place in the cosmos. The green glow grows stronger with each passing day, and with it grows the understanding that we stand at the threshold of a revelation that will test everything we thought we knew about intelligence, about purpose, and about the infinite patience of space itself. In the careful catalogs of astronomical discovery, interstellar visitors occupy a special place of wonder and mystery. Each arrival writes a new chapter in our understanding of the cosmos, carrying with it tales of distant solar systems and the violent births of alien worlds. Yet none have prepared us for what 3I Atlas represents. The first confirmed interstellar object, Oumuamua, appeared in 2017 like a cosmic messenger announcing a new age of discovery. Hawaiian astronomers detected it as it rounded the sun, its elongated form tumbling through space in a way that defied easy categorization. Neither asteroid nor comet, it possessed characteristics that challenged conventional wisdom about how such objects should behave. Its surface reflected light in patterns that suggested a composition unlike anything found in our solar system, while its trajectory showed subtle accelerations that couldn't be explained by solar radiation alone. Scientists proposed various theories to explain Oumuamua's strange behavior. Perhaps it was a fragment of a larger body, broken apart by the gravitational forces of some distant encounter. Maybe it represented a new class of cosmic object entirely, formed in the peculiar conditions that exist between stellar systems. The mystery deepened when the object began to accelerate away from the Sun in ways that suggested internal forces at work, leaving behind more questions than answers. 2 years later, Comet Borisov arrived as if to provide a counterpoint to its predecessor's enigma. This second interstellar visitor behaved more conventionally, displaying the characteristic tail and coma of a typical comet as it interacted with solar radiation. Its composition told a story of formation in a distant stellar nursery, where different chemical processes had shaped its development under alien suns. Yet even Borisov carried surprises, showing concentrations of carbon monoxide that hinted at formation conditions far from what astronomers had expected. These early encounters established a pattern of discovery that both illuminated and confused our understanding of interstellar space. Each visitor brought evidence of the rich diversity that exists beyond our solar system's boundaries, while simultaneously challenging the models that scientists had constructed to explain cosmic evolution. The universe, it seemed, was far stranger and more varied than anyone had imagined. Now comes 3I Atlas, and with it a new level of mystery that surpasses anything we've encountered before. Where Oumuamua puzzled scientists with its unusual acceleration, 3I Atlas displays behavioral patterns that seem almost deliberate in their precision. Its albedo, the measure of how much light it reflects, varies across its surface in ways that suggest a structure of deliberate complexity rather than random geological formation. The rotation of 3I Atlas tells its own story of strangeness. Most cosmic objects tumble chaotically through space, their rotation patterns determined by the random collisions and gravitational encounters of their past. But 3I Atlas maintains a rotation that appears almost controlled, as if some internal mechanism were regulating its movement through space. The periodicity of its rotation creates patterns in the reflected light that resemble nothing so much as a lighthouse beacon sweeping across the cosmic dark. More disturbing still are the electromagnetic pulses that sensitive equipment has begun to detect. These signals emerge from 3I Atlas in brief, regular bursts that seem to correlate with its rotational period. Unlike the random electromagnetic noise that most celestial objects produce, these pulses show characteristics that suggest artificial generation. They arrive with a precision that speaks of mechanical rather than natural origins, raising questions that probe the very heart of what we consider possible. The green luminescence that gives 3I Atlas its distinctive appearance adds another layer to the mystery. Spectral analysis reveals that this glow doesn't match any known natural processes that occur in cosmic bodies. The wavelengths suggest elements that should be rare in interstellar space, combined in ways that require energy inputs of unknown origin. It's as if the object carries its own internal light source, powered by processes that remain hidden from our understanding. As data continues to accumulate, patterns emerge that challenge the comfortable assumption that we are dealing with a natural phenomenon. The evidence points towards something far more complex and potentially profound, an artifact that speaks of intelligence operating on scales of time and space that dwarf human experience. The photograph arrives on a Tuesday morning, transmitted from the Hubble Space Telescope's digital sensors across millions of miles of empty space. In the sterile environment of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, technicians watch as pixels assemble themselves into an image that will change everything we thought we knew about our cosmic visitor. At first glance, 3 Atlas appears as little more than a bright smudge against the star-filled background of deep space. The object hangs suspended in the eternal night, its green radiance creating a subtle halo that seems to pulse with its own internal rhythm. But as image enhancement algorithms work their digital magic, details begin to emerge that send whispers of excitement and unease through the corridors of scientific institutions worldwide. The surface of 3I Atlas gleams with a metallic sheen that catches and reflects starlight in ways that natural rock simply cannot achieve. Closer examination reveals a texture that speaks of artificial construction. Smooth panels that meet at precise angles, creating geometric patterns that follow mathematical progressions found in advanced engineering rather than geological processes. The green luminescence doesn't emanate uniformly from the object's surface, but appears concentrated in specific areas, as if generated by systems embedded within its structure. Most striking of all are the vents. Scattered across the visible surface, these apertures maintain perfect symmetry, their edges clean and precise as if machined by some cosmic manufacturer. They appear to serve a specific function, possibly regulating internal pressure or temperature, or perhaps serving as emission points for the electromagnetic pulses that continue to emanate from the object. Each vent shows the same careful construction, the same attention to detail that speaks of intelligence rather than chance. The shape itself defies easy categorization. While elongated like Oumuamua, 3I Atlas possesses proportions that seem deliberately chosen rather than randomly determined by cosmic collision. Its length-to-width ratio follows patterns found in optimal spacecraft design, suggesting that form has been matched to function in ways that maximize efficiency for some unknown purpose. The smooth curves of its hull create minimal drag profiles that would serve well for interstellar travel, while structural reinforcements visible in the enhanced images speak of engineering designed to withstand the stresses of crossing vast distances. Color analysis reveals additional mysteries. The metallic surface shows variations in hue that suggest different materials have been used in its construction. Some areas gleam with the blue-white reflection of pure metal, while others display the warmer tones of alloys designed for specific purposes. The green luminescence itself appears to originate from embedded elements that follow regular patterns across the hull, as if marking systems or providing navigation references for some long-dormant intelligence. Temperature readings add another layer to the enigma. While most objects in deep space maintain temperatures close to absolute zero, 3I Atlas shows thermal signatures that suggest internal heat generation. Infrared imaging reveals hotspots that correspond to the locations of the mysterious vents, indicating active processes occurring within the object's interior. These temperature variations follow patterns that cycle in harmony with the electromagnetic pulses, suggesting a level of systematic operation that challenges every assumption about what we're observing. The photographic evidence accumulates like testimony in some cosmic court case, each image adding weight to the growing conviction that 3I Atlas represents something unprecedented in human experience. Scientists study the pictures with instruments that can measure variations in brightness down to single photons, searching for any detail that might provide clues to the object's true nature. What emerges from this analysis is a portrait of something that seems less like a natural phenomenon and more like a creation of intelligence. In laboratories around the world, researchers compare these images to everything in their databases. Every asteroid, every comet, every piece of space debris that humans have ever photographed. Nothing matches the precise geometry, the deliberate construction, the systematic organization that 3I Atlas displays. The object stands alone in cosmic surveys, unique in its apparent artificiality, challenging in its implications. As news of the photographs spreads through the scientific community, conversations take on a hushed quality that speaks of shared recognition that humanity may be looking at evidence of intelligence from beyond our solar system. The images of 3I Atlas don't just show us a visitor from interstellar space. They show us the handiwork of minds that conceived and built something capable of crossing the void between stars. In the quiet moments between data analysis and peer review, when scientists sit alone with their thoughts and the weight of discovery, something darker emerges from the excitement of first contact. It's a feeling that has no name in the textbooks, no place in the careful protocols of astronomical observation. It's the recognition that some discoveries carry with them the power to fundamentally alter our understanding of our place in the universe. The fear begins not with the evidence itself, but with what the evidence implies. For centuries, humanity has gazed at the stars with a mixture of wonder and longing, imagining the possibility of other worlds, other intelligences that might share our cosmic loneliness. Science fiction has prepared us for first contact scenarios ranging from benevolent enlightenment to hostile invasion. Yet none of these familiar narratives seem adequate to address what 3I Atlas represents. The object defies the comfortable categories that would allow us to process its existence without existential discomfort. If 3I Atlas were clearly artificial, a spacecraft with visible propulsion systems and obvious communication arrays, we could at least understand it as the product of intelligence analogous to our own. If it were clearly natural, a comet or asteroid with unusual but explicable properties, we could file it away as another cosmic curiosity and move on with our lives. Instead, 3I Atlas occupies a liminal space that challenges the very foundations of how we categorize reality. Its properties suggest artificial construction, yet its behavior patterns seem almost biological in their rhythmic precision. It appears to be both machine and organism, both message and messenger, carrying with it implications that reach beyond the realm of astronomy into questions of consciousness, purpose, and the nature of intelligence itself. Deep in the archives of human memory, buried beneath layers of civilization and rational thought, older fears begin to stir. Every culture on Earth carries stories of visitors from the sky, beings that arrived in times of crisis or change, bringing with them knowledge that proved both blessing and curse. These myths speak of a pattern that spans millennia: the arrival of the unknown, the transfer of forbidden knowledge, and the transformation of civilization in ways that could never be undone. The psychological impact of 3I Atlas extends beyond the scientific community into the deeper structures of human belief. For those who have built their worldview on the assumption that Earth represents the pinnacle of cosmic evolution, the implications of artificial interstellar visitors challenge the very core of anthropocentric thinking. We are forced to confront the possibility that we are not the first intelligence to arise in our galaxy, and perhaps not the most advanced. More troubling still is the question of intention. Natural phenomena require no motivation beyond the laws of physics, but artificial objects carry with them the purposes of their creators. What intelligence would design something capable of crossing interstellar distances? What message might such an object carry, and what consequences might follow from its delivery? The silence of 3I Atlas becomes more ominous than any signal could be, leaving us to wonder whether we are being observed, judged, or simply ignored. The timing of its arrival adds another dimension to the unease. 3I Atlas appears at a moment when human civilization stands at a crossroads, facing challenges that threaten our long-term survival as a species. Climate change, nuclear proliferation, artificial intelligence, and resource depletion create a backdrop of uncertainty against which the arrival of an interstellar visitor takes on prophetic significance. Are we witnessing coincidence, or does the appearance of 3I Atlas represent some kind of cosmic intervention at a critical moment in human development? Scientists find themselves grappling not just with data and observations, but with the weight of responsibility that comes with potentially world-changing discovery. The careful protocols of peer review and academic publication seem inadequate to address findings that might fundamentally alter humanity's relationship with the cosmos. Questions arise about what information should be shared with the public and what should remain within the scientific community until its implications can be better understood. In the end, the fear that 3I Atlas inspires is not the simple terror of the unknown, but the more complex anxiety that comes with the recognition that some knowledge cannot be unknown once acquired. We stand at the threshold of a revelation that will reshape our understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and our role in the cosmic story. The green light that emanates from this mysterious visitor illuminates not just its own artificial surfaces, but the shadows of our own assumptions about what it means to be alone in the universe. Light travels at a constant speed through the vacuum of space, carrying information across cosmic distances with mathematical precision. For centuries, scientists have relied on this fundamental constant to decode the messages that celestial objects send through the electromagnetic spectrum. But 3i Atlas seems to play by different rules, bending light in ways that challenge our most basic understanding of physics. The first anomaly appears in the infrared observations. Thermal imaging satellites detect heat signatures that shift and change in patterns that don't match any known natural processes. Most objects in space either absorb solar radiation and warm up or radiate stored heat into the cosmic background. 3i Atlas does both simultaneously, creating temperature gradients that seem to violate basic thermodynamic principles. The object's surface temperature varies not just by location, but by time, following cycles that correspond to its rotational period, yet somehow exceed what solar heating alone could produce. Infrared sensors record hotspots that appear and disappear with clockwork regularity, as if internal systems were activating in sequence, each drawing power from some hidden energy source deep within the object's core. More puzzling still is how 3i Atlas interacts with visible light. Standard spectroscopic analysis relies on measuring how objects absorb and reflect different wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation. Each element in the periodic table has its own characteristic signature, creating absorption lines that allow astronomers to determine composition from millions of miles away. But the spectrum of 3i Atlas shows irregularities that suggest the object is not merely reflecting sunlight, but actively modifying it. The green luminescence that gives the object its distinctive appearance does not follow the normal patterns of reflected or emitted light. Polarization studies reveal that the glow possesses characteristics typically associated with laser emission: coherent, focused, and precisely controlled. No natural process known to science should be able to produce such organized photons in the environment of deep space, yet 3i Atlas generates them with mechanical consistency. Radio astronomers monitoring the object discover perhaps the most unsettling anomaly of all. The electromagnetic pulses that 3i Atlas emits don't propagate through space the way radio waves should. Instead of spreading out in expanding spheres as they travel away from their source, these signals maintain their coherence across vast distances, arriving at Earth with the same intensity and clarity they possessed when they left the object. The mathematical models that describe electromagnetic propagation break down when applied to these transmissions. The signals behave as if they are being actively maintained during their journey, guided by some mechanism that operates outside our current understanding of physics. They arrive not as the degraded echoes that normal radio emissions become after traveling millions of miles, but as sharp, clear pulses that carry information with startling precision. Frequency analysis reveals another layer of strangeness. The pulses do not occupy random portions of the electromagnetic spectrum, but cluster around specific frequencies that correspond to fundamental constants in physics. The hydrogen line, the frequency of atomic transitions, mathematical ratios that appear throughout quantum mechanics. It's as if 3i Atlas is broadcasting in a universal language based on the mathematical structure of reality itself. The harmonics within each pulse create patterns that repeat with mathematical precision, forming what can only be described as organized information. These aren't the random electromagnetic fluctuations that celestial objects typically produce, but structured signals that carry encoded data in formats that suggest artificial generation. Each pulse contains layers of information nested within other layers, creating a complexity that speaks of deliberate design. Perhaps most disturbing of all is how light behaves in the immediate vicinity of 3i Atlas itself. Photographs show subtle distortions in the star field behind the object, as if space itself were being bent by forces that extend beyond simple gravitational effects. Stars that should appear as point sources of light show slight elongation when viewed through the area around 3I Atlas, suggesting that the object is somehow affecting the path that photons take through space. The cumulative effect of these optical anomalies creates a picture of an object that exists partially outside the normal rules that govern electromagnetic phenomena. 3I Atlas doesn't simply emit or reflect light. It manipulates it, controls it, and uses it in ways that suggest technology far beyond anything in human experience. The green glow that originally seemed like nothing more than an unusual surface composition now appears to be the visible manifestation of systems that operate according to principles we have yet to discover. As scientists struggle to incorporate these observations into their understanding of cosmic visitors, one thing becomes increasingly clear. 3I Atlas represents not just a visitor from another star system, but potentially evidence of technologies that reshape the fundamental forces of nature itself. In the ancient libraries of human memory, carved into stone tablets and preserved in oral traditions that predate written history, strange patterns emerge that speak of previous encounters with visitors from the sky. These accounts, dismissed for centuries as mythology and superstition, take on new significance in light of what 3I Atlas reveals about the possibilities that exist beyond our solar system. The Babylonian astronomers were perhaps the most systematic recorders of celestial phenomena in the ancient world. Their cuneiform tablets contain detailed observations of planetary movements, stellar positions, and unusual events that disturbed the normal patterns of the night sky. Among these records, references appear to objects that moved with purpose rather than following the predictable paths of planets and stars. These wandering stars were often associated with periods of great change, the rise and fall of dynasties, floods that reshaped the landscape, and technological advances that transformed civilization. Most intriguing are the descriptions of objects that glowed with green fire as they crossed the heavens. These accounts appear in Babylonian texts with such consistency that scholars have long puzzled over what natural phenomenon could have inspired such specific imagery. The descriptions speak of lights that pulsed with internal rhythm, maintaining their luminosity even as they moved through different regions of the sky. Could these ancient observers have witnessed previous visits from objects similar to 3I Atlas? The Vedic texts of ancient India contain even more detailed accounts of celestial visitors. The Mahabharata and other Sanskrit epics describe flying vehicles called vimanas that possessed capabilities far beyond anything that terrestrial technology could achieve. These craft could travel between worlds, moving through space with technologies that allowed them to manipulate gravity and electromagnetic forces. While scholars have long interpreted these descriptions as metaphorical or mythological, the characteristics attributed to vimanas bear striking resemblances to the behaviors exhibited by 3I Atlas. The Rigveda contains astronomical observations that predate most other systematic records of the sky. Among these ancient texts, references appear to green stars that arrived during periods of cosmic transition, moments when the old world order was giving way to something fundamentally new. These visitors were associated with the transfer of knowledge, the introduction of new technologies, and the transformation of human consciousness itself. Chinese astronomical records, maintained continuously for over 3 millennia, contain their own accounts of unusual celestial phenomena. The ancient Chinese classified comets and novae with scientific precision, distinguishing between different types of cosmic events based on their visual characteristics and behavioral patterns. Among these classifications, a category exists for objects that the Chinese astronomers called guest stars, visitors that appeared suddenly, maintained unusual properties, and then departed, leaving behind changes in earthly affairs that lasted for generations. The Maya, with their sophisticated understanding of astronomical cycles, recorded events that they associated with the end and beginning of world ages. Their long count calendar tracks cosmic cycles that span thousands of years, marking moments when celestial events coincide with major transformations in human civilization. Some scholars have noted that certain dates in the Mayan calendar correspond to astronomical alignments that would be visible only to observers with detailed knowledge of planetary mechanics and stellar positions. Polynesian navigation traditions, passed down through oral tradition across generations of ocean voyagers, contain references to stars that moved in patterns unlike anything in the normal celestial sphere. These wandering lights served as portents of change, indicators that the world was entering a new phase of development. The navigational chants describe stars that pulsed with green fire, maintaining their brightness even when other stars were obscured by atmospheric conditions. Perhaps most significant are the flood myths that appear in cultures around the world, often associated with the appearance of unusual objects in the sky. These stories share common elements: the arrival of visitors from above, the transfer of knowledge or warnings, and catastrophic changes that reshape the physical and social landscape. The consistency of these accounts across different cultures and time periods suggests that they may preserve memories of actual events rather than purely mythological constructs. Modern archaeological discoveries add another dimension to these ancient accounts. Artifacts have been found that depict astronomical phenomena with accuracy that shouldn't have been possible given the technology available to their creators. Stone circles, architectural alignments, and artistic representations all suggest that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge of cosmic events that extended far beyond what their terrestrial observations alone could have provided. The implications of these historical parallels are profound. If 3I Atlas represents the latest in a series of visits that span millennia, then human civilization may have been shaped by contact with interstellar intelligence throughout its development. The knowledge that forms the foundation of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering may have been influenced by encounters with visitors whose origins lie among the stars. As we study 3I Atlas with instruments that our ancestors could never have imagined, we may be witnessing not humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, but rather the latest chapter in a relationship that has continued for thousands of years, shaping our development in ways we are only beginning to understand. In the theoretical corridors of astrophysics, where mathematics meets speculation and scientific rigor dances with imaginative possibility, a new framework emerges to explain what 3I Atlas might represent. The machine hypothesis suggests that we are not observing a natural celestial object, but rather an artificial construct, a probe designed by intelligence to traverse the vast distances between stars and carry out missions that span geological timescales. The concept of interstellar probes isn't new to scientific thought. As early as 1960, mathematician Ronald Bracewell proposed that advanced civilizations might send automated spacecraft to explore nearby star systems, establishing what became known as Bracewell probes. These theoretical devices would be capable of independent operation across vast distances and time periods, programmed to gather information about the worlds they encountered and potentially establish communication with any intelligence they discovered. Carl Sagan, that eloquent ambassador between scientific discovery and public imagination, expanded upon this concept in his explorations of extraterrestrial intelligence. Sagan envisioned automated messengers that could carry the accumulated knowledge of entire civilizations, serving as libraries, communication devices, and perhaps even seeds for the reconstruction of their creators' culture in distant star systems. Such probes would need to be built to last for millions of years, operating independently while maintaining their core programming across time scales that dwarf human history. The characteristics of 3I Atlas align remarkably well with the theoretical requirements for such an interstellar messenger. Its trajectory shows the subtle course corrections that would be necessary for a probe navigating between star systems, while its electromagnetic emissions suggest active systems that continue to function after eons of travel. The geometric patterns visible on its surface speak of engineering designed for longevity and efficiency rather than the random processes of geological formation. Most compelling is the object's apparent ability to regulate its internal systems across vast time periods. The thermal signatures that sensors detect suggest power generation capabilities that remain functional despite the harsh environment of interstellar space. The synchronized pulses of electromagnetic energy indicate control systems that maintain their precision across scales of time that would challenge any conceivable material science. If 3I Atlas is indeed artificial, it represents engineering capabilities that surpass anything currently within human reach. The machine hypothesis also provides a framework for understanding the object's strange relationship with electromagnetic radiation. If 3I Atlas is a probe designed for interstellar communication, its ability to generate coherent signals and manipulate light would be essential functions rather than inexplicable anomalies. The green luminescence that marks its passage could serve as a beacon, making the probe visible to civilizations with sufficient technological development to detect and interpret its signals. The timing of its appearance in our solar system takes on new significance when viewed through this lens. If 3I Atlas is indeed a probe, its arrival during a period when humanity has just developed the capability to detect and study interstellar objects suggests either remarkable coincidence or deliberate timing. Advanced civilizations might program their probes to activate specific functions when they encounter systems showing signs of emerging intelligence. The silence that characterizes 3I Atlas becomes particularly intriguing when considered as the behavior of an automated system. Unlike the dramatic scenarios of science fiction, actual interstellar probes might operate according to protocols that prioritize observation over direct communication. The probe's mission might be to gather information about our civilization and transmit it back to its creators or to some distant receiving station using methods that remain beyond our current ability to detect. The mathematical precision of its orbital mechanics supports the machine hypothesis in subtle but significant ways. The object's path through our solar system appears optimized to provide maximum observational coverage of our planet and its technological emanations, while minimizing energy expenditure. This trajectory would be ideal for a reconnaissance mission designed to assess our level of technological development and social organization. If 3I Atlas is indeed an artificial probe, it raises profound questions about the civilizations that created it. The engineering required to build a device capable of functioning across interstellar distances and geological timescales implies technological capabilities that approach what science fiction has termed godlike status. Such civilizations would have solved problems of materials science, energy generation, and information storage that remain far beyond our current understanding. The probe hypothesis also suggests that we may be part of a larger cosmic community of intelligence, connected by networks of automated messengers that traverse the galaxy, carrying information between civilizations separated by vast distances of space and time. 3I Atlas might represent our first glimpse into this galactic internet, a communication system that operates on scales that dwarf human comprehension, but nonetheless includes our solar system within its sphere of influence. As we continue to study this enigmatic visitor, the machine hypothesis provides a framework for understanding not just what 3I Atlas is, but what its presence might mean for humanity's future among the stars. Radio telescopes around the world maintain their patient vigil, listening to the electromagnetic whispers that flow through space like messages written in the language of the cosmos. These instruments detect signals from pulsars spinning with clockwork precision, the death songs of collapsing stars, and the random electromagnetic noise that fills the universe. But among these familiar cosmic voices, 3I Atlas adds something new, a signal that seems to speak with intention rather than mere physics. The discovery emerges from the careful analysis of data collected by the Very Large Array in New Mexico. Radio astronomers notice subtle patterns buried within the electromagnetic emissions of 3I Atlas, regularities that stand out against the chaotic background of space like a whispered conversation in a crowded room. These signals arrive with mathematical precision, their timing synchronized with the object's rotation in ways that suggest deliberate generation rather than natural phenomena. The burst pattern follows a complex rhythm that unfolds over periods measured in hours rather than seconds. Each cycle contains multiple components, short, intense pulses followed by longer periods of modulated emission that carry information encoded in frequency variations and amplitude changes. The mathematical structure of these transmissions reveals layers of organization that speak of artificial intelligence rather than the random processes that govern most cosmic radio sources. What makes these signals particularly intriguing is their relationship to fundamental constants in physics. The frequencies around which the transmissions cluster correspond to natural units that any scientifically advanced civilization would recognize. The hyperfine transition of hydrogen, the frequency equivalent of the electron, is charge-to-mass ratio and mathematical ratios derived from the structure of atoms themselves. It's as if 3I Atlas is broadcasting in a universal language based on the mathematical principles that govern reality. The signals also display characteristics that challenge our understanding of how electromagnetic radiation propagates through space. Normally, radio waves from cosmic sources arrive as degraded echoes of their original transmission, weakened by distance and scattered by interstellar matter. But the signals from 3I Atlas maintain their coherence across millions of miles, arriving with clarity that suggests active amplification or guidance during their journey through space. Deep space monitoring stations detect another peculiarity in these transmissions. The signals don't simply broadcast in all directions like a cosmic lighthouse, but appear to be directed specifically toward Earth. Sensitive radio telescopes positioned at different points in our planet is orbit record varying signal strengths that suggest 3I Atlas is actively tracking our position and adjusting its transmissions accordingly. This behavior implies not just intelligence, but intelligence that is specifically interested in Earth and its inhabitants. The content of these signals remains tantalizingly beyond our ability to decode. Mathematical analysis reveals patterns and structures that suggest organized information, but the encoding methods remain opaque to human understanding. Teams of cryptographers and linguists work alongside radio astronomers, applying techniques developed for terrestrial communications to signals that may originate from minds that think in ways fundamentally different from our own. Some researchers detect what they interpret as attempts at establishing communication protocols. The signals occasionally contain sequences that mirror transmissions from Earth, satellite communications, radar pulses, and radio broadcasts that have propagated into space over the past century. It's as if 3I Atlas is demonstrating its awareness of human technology by reflecting our own signals back to us, perhaps as a way of indicating its readiness for more complex exchanges. The silence between transmissions proves as meaningful as the signals themselves. These gaps in communication follow patterns that correspond to Earth's rotational period and orbital position, suggesting that 3I Atlas is coordinating its broadcasts with our planet's movement through space. This level of sophistication implies long-term observation and detailed knowledge of our solar system's mechanics. Most intriguing are the changes that occur in the signal patterns over time. As 3I Atlas continues its passage through our solar system, the transmissions evolve, becoming more complex and carrying what appears to be increasingly sophisticated information. It's as if the object is gradually revealing more of its capabilities as it assesses our ability to receive and interpret its communications. Radio astronomers also detect faint echoes of these signals, reflecting off other objects in our solar system. These reflected transmissions create a secondary communication network that encompasses planets, moons, and even artificial satellites in Earth orbit. The phenomenon suggests that 3I Atlas is not simply broadcasting to Earth, but is actively mapping the entire solar system using its own electromagnetic emissions as a kind of cosmic radar. The implications of these discoveries extend far beyond the realm of radio astronomy. If 3I Atlas is indeed attempting to communicate with Earth, it represents humanity's first opportunity to engage in dialogue with intelligence from beyond our solar system. The signals carry with them the potential for knowledge that could transform our understanding of the universe and our place within it. As scientists continue their efforts to decode these mysterious transmissions, one thing becomes increasingly clear. 3I Atlas is not simply passing through our solar system, but is actively studying us with the same intensity that we bring to studying it. The question remains whether we will prove capable of understanding what it is trying to tell us. The red planet hangs in space like a cosmic archive, its surface scarred by billions of years of solar wind and meteorite impacts, its thin atmosphere whispering stories of ancient waters and vanished climates. Mars has witnessed the birth of our solar system, the emergence of life on Earth, and countless cosmic events that have shaped the worlds around our Sun. But as 3I Atlas passes through the inner solar system, Mars becomes the silent witness to something unprecedented in its long observation of the cosmic dance. The first indication that something extraordinary is occurring comes from the network of orbiters that circle Mars like electronic sentinels. These sophisticated spacecraft, designed to study Martian geology and climate, detect unusual electromagnetic phenomena as 3I Atlas approaches the planet's orbital path. The instruments record fluctuations in Mars's magnetic field that don't correspond to any known solar or planetary phenomena, suggesting that the approaching object is generating effects that extend far beyond its physical boundaries. As 3I Atlas draws closer to Mars, the electromagnetic anomalies intensify into something that defies easy explanation. The planet's thin atmosphere begins to glow with auroras of an unusual green hue, concentrated around the polar regions where Mars's remnant magnetic field lines converge. These auroras don't behave like the familiar light shows that solar particles create when they interact with planetary magnetospheres. Instead, they pulse in rhythm with the electromagnetic emissions from 3I Atlas, as if the two phenomena are locked in some kind of cosmic synchronization. The Mars Global Surveyor, veteran of decades of faithful service, captures images that will forever change our understanding of how interstellar objects interact with planetary systems. The photographs show auroral displays that span entire hemispheres, creating patterns of light that seem to follow geometric progressions rather than the chaotic beauty typically associated with atmospheric phenomena. These lights don't simply dance across Mars's sky. They organize themselves into structures that suggest purpose and intelligence. Ground-penetrating radar instruments detect even more puzzling changes beneath Mars' surface. Seismic monitors record vibrations that correlate with the passages of 3I Atlas-induced auroras overhead, as if the electromagnetic phenomena are somehow reaching deep into the planet's interior. These subsurface responses follow patterns that don't match known geological processes, suggesting that Mars itself is responding to the presence of the interstellar visitor in ways that challenge our understanding of planetary physics. The rover Perseverance, methodically exploring the Martian surface in its search for signs of ancient life, becomes an inadvertent witness to these cosmic events. Its instruments record atmospheric changes that occur in synchronization with 3I Atlas's electromagnetic pulses. Pressure variations, temperature fluctuations, and chemical changes that seem to indicate that the planet's thin atmosphere is being affected by forces that operate beyond the normal interactions between celestial objects. Most intriguing of all are the discoveries made by thermal imaging satellites monitoring Mars's surface temperature. As the green auroras sweep across the planet, they leave behind thermal signatures that persist long after the light displays have faded. These heat patterns don't correspond to normal solar heating or geological activity, but appear to be generated by processes that remain hidden from our understanding. It's as if 3I Atlas is activating systems that have lain dormant within Mars for eons. The orbital mechanics of the interaction add another layer of mystery to these observations. As 3I Atlas passes near Mars, both objects exhibit subtle changes in their trajectories that suggest gravitational effects beyond what their masses should produce. These anomalies imply that forces other than simple gravity are operating between the two bodies, perhaps electromagnetic or even more exotic phenomena that require revision of our models of celestial mechanics. Deep space monitoring stations detect changes in the radio emissions from Mars during these events. The planet, normally radio quiet except for occasional bursts associated with dust storms, begins generating structured electromagnetic signals that mirror the patterns produced by 3I Atlas. It's as if Mars is responding to the interstellar visitors' transmissions, creating an exchange of information that operates on principles we don't yet understand. The timing of these phenomena raises questions that probe the nature of cosmic coincidence. Mars and 3I Atlas encounter each other at a moment when human technology is sophisticated enough to observe and record their interaction. Yet the events themselves suggest processes that have been waiting for this conjunction for far longer than human civilization has existed. Could Mars have been prepared for this encounter by previous visits from similar objects? Archaeological surveys of Mars's surface take on new significance as scientists search for evidence of previous interactions with interstellar visitors. The geometric patterns visible in Martian geology, the mysterious structures of Cydonia, the mathematical precision of certain crater arrangements, the unusual properties of some mineral deposits, all become potential evidence of past encounters with objects like 3I Atlas. As the interaction between Mars and 3I Atlas continues to unfold, scientists realize they are witnessing something that may be far more significant than a simple gravitational encounter. The evidence suggests that Mars is not merely a passive witness to this cosmic event, but an active participant in a process that connects our solar system to the vast community of intelligence that exists among the stars. Throughout the long chronicle of human history, certain events stand apart from the normal flow of earthly affairs, moments when the sky itself seemed to participate in the transformation of civilizations. These episodes share common characteristics that speak of patterns operating on scales far greater than human understanding, patterns that the arrival of 3I Atlas may help us finally recognize and comprehend. The Tunguska event of 1908 remains one of the most enigmatic cosmic encounters in recorded history. On the morning of June 30th, something exploded over the remote forests of Siberia, with the force of 1,000 atomic bombs flattening trees across an area larger than most cities and generating atmospheric effects that were observed around the world. Yet no impact crater was ever found. No meteoric debris recovered that could adequately explain the magnitude of the explosion. Witnesses described a brilliant green fireball that crossed the sky with purposeful trajectory, moving in ways that seemed to suggest controlled flight rather than the chaotic tumbling of cosmic debris. The electromagnetic effects that followed the explosion disrupted telegraph communications across vast distances, while seismic readings showed secondary pulses that arrived hours after the initial event, as if the explosion had triggered responses from distant locations. Modern analysis of tree ring data from the affected region reveals patterns that don't match typical impact scenarios. The forest damage follows geometric arrangements that suggest the explosive force was somehow focused and directed rather than randomly distributed. Some researchers have noted similarities between these patterns and the surface features visible on 3I Atlas, raising questions about whether the Tunguska event might have been humanity's first documented encounter with technology of interstellar origin. The mysterious object known as the Black Knight satellite adds another piece to this cosmic puzzle. First detected in 1960 by radar installations tracking the early satellites of the space race, this object maintains an orbit that defies explanation by conventional space technology. Its trajectory takes it over both poles in a path that no earthly satellite of that era could have achieved, while its radar signature suggests a structure far larger and more complex than any known spacecraft. Radio operators have detected signals from the Black Knight that seem to follow the same mathematical patterns later observed in transmissions from 3I Atlas. These emissions occur at frequencies that correspond to astronomical constants and display modulation characteristics that suggest artificial generation rather than natural phenomena. The object's longevity, maintaining its orbit for decades without apparent propulsion, implies technology that operates according to principles beyond current human understanding. Ancient Sumerian texts add historical depth to these modern mysteries. Clay tablets from Mesopotamia describe cosmic events that preceded major changes in human civilization. The appearance of divine fires in the sky that brought both knowledge and catastrophe to earthly societies. These accounts speak of visitors from the stars who shared advanced technologies while warning of cosmic cycles that would test humanity's ability to survive and evolve. The mathematical precision of these ancient accounts proves particularly intriguing when compared to modern astronomical observations. Sumerian calendars track celestial cycles with accuracy that should not have been possible given the tools available to their civilization. Yet their predictions of planetary positions and stellar events prove remarkably accurate even by contemporary standards. This suggests that their knowledge of cosmic mechanics may have originated from sources beyond terrestrial observation. Plasma storms recorded in historical documents provide another connection between past and present mysteries. Chinese astronomers documented periods when the aurora borealis appeared at latitudes far from the polar regions, creating displays of unusual colors and geometric patterns that disrupted normal atmospheric phenomena. These events often coincided with the appearance of guest stars that moved through the sky with trajectories unlike normal comets or meteors. The electromagnetic effects associated with these historical plasma events bear striking resemblances to the phenomena now observed around 3I Atlas. Ancient texts describe disruptions to magnetic compasses, strange behaviors in domestic animals, and atmospheric conditions that affected human consciousness and perception. These accounts suggest that previous visits from interstellar objects may have created planetary effects similar to those we are witnessing today. Archaeological evidence supports the possibility that cosmic encounters have shaped human development throughout history. Megalithic structures around the world display astronomical alignments that track celestial events with precision that require detailed knowledge of planetary mechanics. The construction of these monuments often coincided with periods of rapid technological and cultural advancement, suggesting that contact with cosmic visitors may have accelerated human development at crucial moments. The cyclical nature of these events implies that 3I Atlas may be part of a larger pattern of cosmic intervention that spans millennia. If interstellar probes visit our solar system according to predetermined schedules, their arrivals might be timed to coincide with critical periods in the development of planetary civilizations. Each visit could serve as both a test and an opportunity, challenging emerging intelligence to demonstrate its readiness for inclusion in a broader cosmic community. As we study 3I Atlas and its effects on our solar system, we may be witnessing not an isolated event, but the latest manifestation of a process that has been shaping the development of intelligence throughout the galaxy. The patterns of catastrophe and transformation that mark human history may reflect our participation in a cosmic drama far grander than we have previously imagined. Advanced imaging systems probe deeper into the mysteries of 3I Atlas, revealing details that shatter the comfortable assumption that we are observing a natural phenomenon. Each new photograph strips away another layer of plausible explanation, exposing structures that speak of engineering rather than geological formation, of purpose rather than cosmic accident. The latest images from the James Webb Space Telescope represent a quantum leap in our ability to examine this enigmatic visitor. Operating in infrared wavelengths that penetrate cosmic dust and reveal thermal signatures invisible to conventional optical instruments, Webb captures details that transform our understanding of what approaches our solar system. The object's surface resolves into a complex landscape of artificial features that no amount of scientific rationalization can explain away as natural formation. Structural analysis reveals that 3I Atlas possesses what can only be described as panels, smooth, geometrically precise surfaces that meet at angles calculated for optimal structural integrity. These panels show signs of deliberate manufacturing, with edges that maintain tolerances that would challenge even modern precision engineering. The materials science implied by such construction suggests technologies that can manipulate matter at the molecular level, creating structures that remain stable across the vast timescales required for interstellar travel. The mysterious vents that dot the object's surface prove even more intriguing under detailed examination. High-resolution imagery shows these apertures surrounded by complex mechanical structures that resemble nothing so much as control systems and regulatory mechanisms. Each vent appears to serve a specific function within a larger network of interconnected systems, suggesting that 3I Atlas operates as an integrated technological organism rather than a passive piece of cosmic debris. Most unsettling are the recessed areas that appear throughout the object's hull. These shadowed regions show geometric patterns that seem to serve as mounting points or connection interfaces for systems that are no longer present, or perhaps that remain hidden from external observation. The implications are profound. If these represent attachment points for modular components, 3I Atlas might be capable of reconfiguring itself for different mission requirements. Thermal imaging reveals internal structures that pulse with their own rhythms, creating heat signatures that map the flow of energy through the object's interior. These thermal patterns don't correspond to simple heat distribution from solar radiation, but show the characteristics of active systems drawing power from internal sources and directing it according to programmed requirements. The energy flows follow pathways that suggest sophisticated control networks operating within the object's core. Spectroscopic analysis of the object's surface materials yields results that challenge our understanding of stellar nucleosynthesis. The metallic elements detected in 3I Atlas show isotopic ratios that don't match those found in any known stellar formation processes. These exotic materials appear to have been artificially created, possibly through nuclear technologies that can manipulate atomic structure in ways that remain beyond human capability. The green luminescence that gives 3I Atlas its distinctive appearance proves to originate from embedded elements distributed throughout the object's structure. These luminous components follow regular patterns that serve no apparent structural purpose but seem designed for visibility and identification. It's as if the object's creators wanted to ensure that it would be easily detectable by civilizations with sufficient technological development to appreciate its artificial nature. Surface texture analysis reveals manufacturing marks that speak of construction techniques that dwarf human engineering capabilities. Tool marks suggest fabrication methods that can shape materials at scales ranging from microscopic precision to massive structural components, all integrated into a seamless whole that has survived the journey between star systems without apparent degradation. The mathematical relationships that govern the object's proportions follow patterns found in advanced spacecraft design rather than the random ratios that characterize natural formation. Length to width ratios, surface area distributions, and structural load patterns all suggest optimization for specific performance requirements, minimal drag for interstellar travel, maximum structural integrity for extended operation, and optimal energy efficiency for long-term missions. Perhaps most significantly, the detailed images reveal what appear to be inactive systems throughout the object's structure. Mechanical components that show no current activity but maintain the precision alignment necessary for future operation suggest that 3I Atlas might be capable of much more than passive observation. These dormant systems imply capabilities that could become active under specific conditions or commands. The evidence accumulates like testimony in a cosmic court case, each image adding weight to the conclusion that humanity is witnessing something unprecedented in its experience. 3I Atlas stands revealed not as a visitor from the natural cosmos, but as an artifact created by intelligence that has achieved mastery over matter, energy, and the vast scales of space and time that separate the stars. As scientists study these detailed images, the comfortable boundaries between natural phenomenon and artificial construction continue to blur, forcing a fundamental reconsideration of what it means to encounter intelligence from beyond our solar system. The fractured lens of human perception struggles to accommodate the possibility that we are not alone and that the evidence of cosmic intelligence has been traveling toward us across the galaxy for longer than our species has existed. In the secure laboratories where theoretical physics meets classified research, equations emerge that describe phenomena beyond the comfortable boundaries of publicly acknowledged science. These mathematical frameworks reveal that 3I Atlas operates according to principles that challenge not just our understanding of cosmic mechanics, but the very foundations of what governments allow their citizens to know about the nature of reality. The first breakthrough comes from Dr. Elena Vasquez, a theoretical physicist whose work on exotic propulsion systems has remained classified since the 1990s. Her analysis of 3I Atlas's trajectory reveals subtle accelerations that cannot be explained by solar radiation pressure, gravitational assists, or any other conventional mechanism. The object appears to possess the ability to modify its course through space using forces that leave no detectable exhaust signature or reaction mass. The mathematical models that describe this apparent propulsion system require modifications to Einstein's field equations that push the boundaries of general relativity into unexplored territory. These modifications suggest that 3I Atlas might be manipulating the structure of spacetime itself, creating localized distortions that allow it to move without reacting against conventional matter. Such technology would represent a mastery of fundamental forces that human science has only begun to theorize. Dr. Vasquez's work builds upon research that originated in the Soviet Union during the Cold War, when physicists working under conditions of absolute secrecy explored possibilities that Western science considered impossible. These researchers investigated phenomena they termed dynamic spacetime manipulation, the theoretical possibility that sufficiently advanced technology could alter the geometry of space itself to enable faster-than-light travel and other exotic capabilities. The Soviet research, buried in archives that few Western scientists have ever accessed, describes mathematical frameworks that treat spacetime as a manipulable medium rather than a fixed backdrop against which physical events occur. These theories suggest that objects with sufficient technological sophistication could create spacetime currents that carry them along without requiring conventional propulsion systems. The implications for interstellar travel are profound. Such technology would make journeys between star systems practical on timescales that allow for exploration and communication across galactic distances. Declassified documents from the era reveal that Soviet physicists detected anomalous objects in Earth orbit that exhibited behaviors consistent with their theoretical models. These objects maintained stable orbits without detectable propulsion systems, while demonstrating the ability to change course in ways that violated conventional orbital mechanics. The research programs investigating these phenomena were abruptly terminated in the late 1980s, their findings classified at levels that prevent public disclosure even today. The mathematical signature of 3I Atlas's movements matches predictions made by these forbidden theories with uncomfortable precision. The object's trajectory shows the characteristics of controlled spacetime manipulation rather than ballistic motion through normal space. Each course correction appears to involve brief periods of localized gravitational anomaly, as if 3I Atlas is creating temporary wells in spacetime that redirect its path without expending reaction mass. Energy requirements for such propulsion would be enormous by human standards, yet 3I Atlas shows no signs of carrying fuel or reaction mass sufficient for conventional interstellar travel. This paradox resolves only if the object possesses the ability to extract energy directly from the quantum fluctuations of empty space itself, a theoretical possibility that remains beyond human technological capability, but which appears to be demonstrated by the visitor's behavior. The implications extend beyond propulsion technology into realms that touch the nature of consciousness and reality itself. If 3I Atlas can manipulate spacetime, it might also possess the ability to affect the flow of time, creating zones where temporal progression follows different rules than those experienced by normal matter. Such capabilities would allow the object to conduct observations that span centuries while experiencing only brief periods of subjective time. More disturbing still are the equations that describe how such technology might interact with biological systems. The mathematical models suggest that spacetime manipulation could affect neural activity in ways that alter perception and consciousness. If 3i Atlas is conducting experiments on human awareness, it might be doing so through mechanisms that operate below the threshold of our ability to detect or resist. The theoretical framework also provides explanations for the object's apparent ability to generate coherent electromagnetic emissions without conventional power sources. By manipulating the quantum vacuum, 3i Atlas might be able to extract energy from the zero-point fluctuations that fill apparently empty space. This would provide it with effectively unlimited power for communication systems, sensors, and other technologies that require sustained energy input. Perhaps most significant are the implications for faster-than-light communication. The same mathematical structures that describe 3i Atlas's propulsion system suggest that information could be transmitted instantaneously across any distance by creating quantum entanglement links through manipulated spacetime. If such technology exists, 3i Atlas might be in constant communication with its creators regardless of the vast distances that separate our solar system from its point of origin. As these forbidden equations circulate through the classified channels of government science, they force a fundamental reconsideration of humanity is place in a universe where intelligence has achieved mastery over the basic forces of reality. The comfortable assumption that advanced technology differs from human capabilities only in degree gives way to the recognition that 3i Atlas represents something qualitatively different, engineering that operates according to principles that remain hidden from public knowledge, but which may already be understood by those who work in the shadows of classified research. Every trajectory tells a story written in the language of physics and intention. The path that 3i Atlas follows through our solar system carries information that extends far beyond simple orbital mechanics, revealing patterns that connect cosmic navigation to the deepest mysteries of human civilization and the geometric principles that govern reality itself. The object's approach vector, traced backward through space and time, originates from a region of the galaxy that holds special significance in human mythology and astronomical observation. Its path carries it through alignments with stellar positions that correspond to navigational references found in ancient architectural monuments around the world. The precision of these alignments suggests that 3i Atlas is following a route that was planned with detailed knowledge of both cosmic mechanics and human cultural development. Most intriguing is the object's relationship to what astronomers call lunar nodes, the points where the moon's orbital plane intersects with Earth's orbital plane around the Sun. These nodes precess through space with mathematical precision, creating cycles that have served as the foundation for calendrical systems throughout human history. 3i Atlas's trajectory intersects these nodal positions at moments that correspond to significant dates in multiple ancient calendar systems, suggesting navigation that incorporates knowledge of Earth's astronomical relationships. The geometric patterns that emerge from plotting 3i Atlas's path reveal connections to terrestrial monuments that were constructed thousands of years before humans possessed the astronomical knowledge necessary to understand these relationships. The Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, the Nazca Lines, and dozens of other ancient sites all share alignments that correspond to the visitor's approach angle and timing. These correlations suggest that previous visits from similar objects may have provided the astronomical knowledge that guided the construction of these monuments. Mathematical analysis of the trajectory reveals that 3i Atlas is following what navigation theorists call a minimum energy transfer orbit, a path that maximizes observational coverage while minimizing energy expenditure. This type of orbital design requires sophisticated understanding of multi-body gravitational dynamics and suggests mission planning that extends across multiple planetary positions and orbital cycles. The level of computational complexity implied by such navigation exceeds anything currently within human capability. The timing of the object's closest approach to Earth corresponds to astronomical events that occur only at intervals measured in centuries. Solar cycles, planetary alignments, and galactic positioning all converge at the moment when 3i Atlas reaches its optimal observation point relative to our planet. Such precision in timing suggests that the object's mission was planned to coincide with specific cosmic conditions that enhance its ability to study Earth and its inhabitants. Deeper analysis reveals that the trajectory incorporates gravitational assists from multiple bodies in our solar system, using the gravitational fields of planets and large asteroids to modify its course without expending internal energy. This technique, known as gravity assist or slingshot navigation, requires precise knowledge of planetary positions that must be calculated centuries in advance. The mathematical precision of these maneuvers suggests navigation capabilities that can predict and account for cosmic mechanics across vast timescales. The path also reveals evidence of course corrections that occur at regular intervals, suggesting that 3I Atlas maintains the ability to adjust its trajectory in response to changing conditions or mission requirements. These adjustments follow patterns that correspond to the orbital periods of planets in our solar system, as if the object is synchronizing its movements with the cosmic clockwork that governs planetary motion. Perhaps most significantly, the trajectory appears designed to maximize exposure to human electromagnetic emissions. Radio signals, television broadcasts, radar installations, and satellite communications all propagate into space where they can be intercepted by sufficiently sensitive instruments. 3I Atlas. Its path places it in optimal position to collect these signals throughout its passage through our solar system, suggesting that part of its mission involves comprehensive surveillance of human technological development. The geometric relationships embedded in the trajectory also reveal connections to mathematical constants that appear throughout nature and human cultural development. The golden ratio, pi, and other fundamental mathematical relationships appear in the angles and distances that characterize the object's movement through space. These connections suggest that 3I Atlas's path was designed according to principles that recognize the universal nature of mathematical truth and its relationship to both consciousness and cosmic structure. Ancient navigation techniques provide another perspective on these patterns. Polynesian wayfinders used star positions, ocean currents, and celestial alignments to navigate across vast distances of open ocean using knowledge passed down through oral tradition. The principles they employed, reading subtle signs in natural phenomena to determine position and direction, appear to be reflected in the navigation systems that guide 3I Atlas through interstellar space. The trajectory's relationship to Earth's magnetic field adds another dimension to its significance. The object's path aligns with magnetic field lines in ways that would optimize the reception of electromagnetic signals while minimizing interference from charged particles trapped in our planet's magnetosphere. This suggests navigation planning that incorporates detailed knowledge of planetary magnetic fields and their effects on electronic systems. As 3I Atlas continues its precisely calculated journey through our solar system, its trajectory becomes a message written in the language of motion itself, a communication that reveals the sophistication of its creators while demonstrating their intimate knowledge of our world and its place in the cosmic order. The path it follows serves as both navigation route and cultural artifact, connecting human civilization to intelligence that operates on scales of space and time that dwarf our current understanding. Across the vast archipelagos of human culture, separated by oceans and centuries, a common thread weaves through the mythology of civilizations that never knew of each other's existence. The story of green fire from the sky appears in legends from Polynesia to Persia, from the Americas to ancient Asia, suggesting that these accounts may preserve memories of actual events rather than purely symbolic narratives. In the oral traditions of Polynesian navigators, stories speak of Pele's green tears, celestial fires that appeared during times of great transition, marking the end of one age and the beginning of another. These tales describe lights that moved across the sky with purposeful intelligence, maintaining their brilliance even when other stars were hidden by clouds or atmospheric disturbances. The navigational chants that preserve these stories include detailed descriptions of how these green fires affected ocean currents, weather patterns, and the behavior of sea life. The Persian Zend Avesta contains similar accounts of divine fires that descended from the realm of Ahura Mazda during periods of cosmic transformation. These sacred texts describe flames that possessed the unusual property of remaining visible during daylight hours while illuminating the night sky with colors not found in earthly fire. The descriptions include details about how these celestial flames affected human consciousness, inducing visions and prophetic dreams that provided guidance during times of cultural upheaval. Ancient Celtic mythology preserves accounts of the otherworld that share remarkable similarities with these Eastern traditions. Irish legends speak of the Sida, supernatural beings who traveled in vessels of green light that could move between worlds without following the normal constraints of time and space. These stories describe how the appearance of such vessels marked moments when the boundary between the mundane and the magical became permeable, allowing for exchanges of knowledge and power that transformed human understanding. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia maintain Dreamtime stories that speak of rainbow serpent beings who traveled across the sky in vessels of living light. These beings arrived during the creation period, sharing knowledge of astronomy, navigation, and the deep relationships that connect all life. The descriptions of their vehicles match accounts of green celestial fires found in other traditions, suggesting a common origin for these diverse mythological systems. Mesoamerican cultures provide perhaps the most detailed accounts of these phenomena. Mayan codices describe the arrival of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent deity, in a vessel that glowed with green fire, and moved through the heavens according to mathematical patterns that the Maya incorporated into their calendar systems. The Aztec traditions of Quetzalcoatl contain similar elements, describing a divine being who arrived from the stars carrying knowledge of agriculture, mathematics, and astronomy that elevated human civilization. The consistency of these accounts across such diverse cultures becomes even more significant when examined alongside archaeological evidence. Many of the monuments associated with these mythological traditions display astronomical alignments that require knowledge of celestial mechanics far beyond what these civilizations should have possessed based on their available technology. The precision of these alignments suggests that the knowledge may have been provided by external sources, possibly the same sources that inspired the myths of green fires from the sky. Chemical analysis of ancient artifacts provides additional support for the historical reality behind these myths. Metallic objects found in archaeological contexts sometimes contain isotopic ratios that don't match terrestrial formation processes, suggesting that they may have originated from extraterrestrial sources. These anomalous materials often appear in artifacts associated with the mythological traditions that describe celestial visitors. The timing of these mythological accounts correlates with periods of rapid cultural and technological advancement in human civilization. The development of agriculture, the invention of writing systems, the establishment of complex astronomical calendars, and the construction of megalithic monuments all appear to coincide with the periods when these cultures report contact with beings from the sky. This pattern suggests that the myths may preserve memories of actual interventions that accelerated human development at crucial stages. Modern astronomical observations provide a potential framework for understanding how such visitations might occur. Objects like 3I Atlas demonstrate that artificial constructs can traverse interstellar distances while maintaining their integrity and functionality. If such objects have been visiting our solar system for millennia, they would naturally appear in human cultural memory as the divine or supernatural beings described in mythological traditions. The green luminescence that characterizes 3I Atlas provides a direct connection to these ancient accounts. The specific wavelengths of light that the object emits match descriptions found in mythological texts with remarkable precision, suggesting that previous visitors may have possessed similar characteristics. This connection between modern observation and ancient memory implies that human civilization has been shaped by contact with interstellar intelligence throughout its development. The psychological and cultural impact of such encounters would naturally be interpreted through the religious and mythological frameworks available to ancient peoples. Beings possessing technology that seemed magical by the standards of their time would inevitably be understood as gods or supernatural entities, while their vehicles would be described in the most impressive terms available to human language. As we study 3I Atlas and its effects on our solar system, we may be witnessing not humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, but rather the latest chapter in a relationship that has been ongoing for thousands of years. The green flame that marks its passage connects our present moment to the deep mythological memory of our species, suggesting that the arrival of cosmic visitors represents not an unprecedented event, but the continuation of a pattern that has shaped human consciousness since the dawn of civilization. In the shadowed corridors of government agencies, where classified information flows like a hidden river beneath the surface of public knowledge, certain observations about 3I Atlas remain locked away from scientific scrutiny. The fragments that emerge through unofficial channels paint a picture of discoveries so profound that their implications have been deemed too dangerous for open discussion. The first hint of concealed information comes from Dr. Marcus Chen, a former researcher at the National Security Agency whose security clearance allowed him access to signals intelligence related to unusual electromagnetic phenomena. According to his account, provided through encrypted channels after his retirement from government service, spectral analysis of 3I Atlas reveals characteristics that have been systematically excluded from published research papers. These classified spectral readings apparently show that the object emits coherent radiation in frequencies that correspond to human brainwave patterns. The implications of such a discovery would be staggering, suggesting that 3I Atlas might be capable of directly affecting human consciousness through electromagnetic means. Such capabilities would represent a form of technology that could influence thought patterns, emotional states, and perceptual processes on a planetary scale. Dr. Chen's revelations describe experiments conducted in secure facilities where volunteers were exposed to synthesized versions of these frequencies under controlled conditions. The results, he claims, included enhanced cognitive abilities, altered states of consciousness, and in some cases, what participants described as direct communication with non-human intelligence. These experiments were reportedly terminated when participants began demonstrating knowledge of information that they had no normal means of acquiring. Additional leaked information suggests that radio telescopes operated by military organizations have detected structured signals from 3I Atlas that contain far more information than the simplified patterns acknowledged in public scientific papers. These transmissions apparently include detailed technical specifications for technologies that exceed current human capabilities, as well as what intelligence analysts interpret as comprehensive surveys of Earth's geological, biological, and technological resources. The classification of this information reflects government concern that public awareness of such detailed surveillance might cause social instability or panic. The comprehensive nature of the data, apparently collected by 3I Atlas, suggests that our visitors possess knowledge of human civilization that extends far beyond what could be gathered through passive observation. This implies either long-term surveillance or access to information sources that remain unknown to public science. Perhaps most disturbing are reports that some of the classified data appears to contain predictions about future events on Earth. These predictions apparently demonstrate knowledge of geological processes, climate patterns, and even human social dynamics that would be impossible to derive from current observations alone. The accuracy of preliminary predictions that have already come to pass has reportedly caused significant concern within intelligence agencies about the implications of such comprehensive foreknowledge. The concealment of this information reflects a broader pattern of government secrecy regarding anomalous phenomena that challenge conventional understanding of reality. Historical precedents suggest that discoveries with profound implications for human society are often classified not for reasons of national security, but to prevent social disruption that might result from public awareness of information that challenges fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality. Whistleblower accounts describe internal debates within government agencies about the ethics of concealing information that might benefit human scientific development. Some researchers apparently argue that the technological specifications contained in 3I Atlas's transmissions could accelerate human advancement by centuries, potentially solving problems related to energy production, space travel, and environmental restoration. Others contend that premature release of such information could lead to technological developments that humanity is not socially or ethically prepared to handle responsibly. The classification process itself reveals the profound nature of what has been discovered. Information is reportedly classified at levels that exceed those used for nuclear weapons technology, suggesting that the implications of 3I Atlas's presence are considered to pose risks that transcend conventional military or strategic concerns. Such extreme classification typically indicates discoveries that could fundamentally alter human civilization's relationship with reality itself. Independent researchers working outside government channels have attempted to reconstruct the missing information through analysis of gaps in published data and statistical anomalies in official reports. These efforts suggest that the concealed information includes evidence of multiple interstellar objects operating in our solar system simultaneously, implying that 3I Atlas may be part of a larger phenomenon rather than an isolated visitation. The psychological impact of concealing such information creates its own set of problems for those responsible for maintaining secrecy. Reports describe high levels of stress and ethical conflict among researchers who possess knowledge of discoveries that could benefit humanity, but are prevented from sharing that knowledge with the broader scientific community. Some have apparently sought psychological counseling to deal with the burden of possessing information about humanity's place in the universe that they cannot legally discuss. The existence of concealed information about 3I Atlas raises fundamental questions about the relationship between scientific discovery and democratic governance. If discoveries exist that could transform human understanding of reality, who has the authority to decide whether such information should be shared with the public? The precedent set by such classification decisions may determine how humanity responds to future encounters with phenomena that transcend our current understanding of what is possible. As 3I Atlas continues its passage through our solar system, the information being concealed about its true nature and capabilities may prove more significant than what is being revealed. The data we are not shown may contain the keys to understanding not just this particular visitor, but humanity's relationship with intelligence that operates on cosmic scales of space and time. In the vast darkness between stars, where time moves with the patience of geological ages and space stretches across distances that dwarf human comprehension, certain artifacts drift like messages in bottles cast upon an infinite ocean. These are not merely the products of advanced technology, but the preserved memories of civilizations that faced their own moments of cosmic crisis and chose to send their knowledge forward into an uncertain future. The concept of 3I Atlas as a repository of forgotten wisdom transforms our understanding of what we might be encountering. Rather than a simple probe or communication device, the object could represent something far more profound. A cosmic library that carries within its artificial structure the accumulated knowledge achievements and perhaps even the consciousness patterns of beings who achieved interstellar capability before our species learned to use fire. Archaeological evidence from Earth provides precedents for such preservation efforts. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault stores genetic material from thousands of plant species, preserving Earth's botanical heritage against future catastrophes. Ancient civilizations buried time capsules containing their most precious knowledge, hoping that future generations would possess the wisdom to unlock and apply what they had learned. 3I Atlas might represent this preservation instinct scaled up to cosmic proportions. The construction materials detected in spectroscopic analysis support this interpretation. The exotic isotopes that compose the object's structure appear designed for longevity rather than efficiency, suggesting that its creators prioritized preservation across vast timescales over immediate functionality. Such materials would need to resist not just the radiation and micrometeorite impacts of interstellar space, but the effects of cosmic ray bombardment that would gradually alter the atomic structure of conventional materials over millions of years. The electromagnetic patterns that 3I Atlas emits take on new significance when viewed as attempts to activate dormant systems rather than simple communication signals. These transmissions might serve as power sources for internal mechanisms that have remained inactive during the long journey between star systems, waiting for the right conditions to begin the process of knowledge transfer. The green luminescence that characterizes the object could be the visible sign of systems coming online after eons of dormancy. If 3I Atlas functions as a preserved memory bank, its creators face the challenge of encoding information in formats that could survive both the physical stresses of interstellar travel and the temporal degradation that affects all storage media over cosmic timescales. The solution might involve quantum storage systems that encode information at the subatomic level, creating data structures that remain stable across geological ages while remaining accessible to civilizations with sufficient technological sophistication. The mathematical patterns embedded in the object's transmissions could serve as keys to unlock different levels of stored information. Simple mathematical relationships might provide access to basic technological concepts, while more complex formulations could reveal advanced scientific principles or even philosophical frameworks developed by the object as creators. This graduated access system would allow receiving civilizations to progress through the stored knowledge at a pace that matches their level of development. The timing of 3I Atlas's arrival in our solar system gains deeper meaning when considered as part of a preservation system. The object might have been programmed to activate when it encountered civilizations that had reached specific technological milestones, the development of radio communication, the achievement of space travel, or the creation of artificial intelligence. Our current level of development might have triggered systems that remained dormant throughout the object's long journey from its point of origin. The concept of machine memory raises profound questions about consciousness and continuity. If 3I Atlas contains not just the knowledge of its creators, but some form of their consciousness patterns, we might be encountering the preserved minds of beings who died millennia ago, yet continue to exist within the quantum structures of their artificial creation. Such a possibility would represent a form of technological immortality that transcends biological limitations while preserving the essential characteristics of intelligence and awareness. The implications for human civilization are staggering. If 3I Atlas carries the scientific, technological, and philosophical achievements of an entire species, access to that information could accelerate human development by thousands of years. We might gain insights into physics that revolutionize our understanding of reality, technologies that solve our energy and environmental problems, and philosophical frameworks that help us navigate the challenges of cosmic citizenship. Yet the preservation of such knowledge also carries warnings about the fate of the civilizations that created it. If 3I Atlas serves as a cosmic tomb, its very existence implies that its creators faced some form of existential crisis that they were unable to survive. The knowledge they preserved might include not just their achievements, but their failures, warnings about the dangers that await civilizations as they expand beyond their home worlds and encounter the larger community of galactic intelligence. The ethical implications of accessing such preserved knowledge challenge our assumptions about cultural independence and technological development. Would humanity be wise to build its future on the foundation of another species' achievements? Or would such dependence limit our own potential for growth and discovery? The memories contained within 3I Atlas might offer shortcuts to advanced capabilities, but they might also constrain our development within patterns established by minds that evolved under very different conditions. As we continue to study this enigmatic visitor, we may be standing at the threshold of the greatest educational opportunity in human history, the chance to learn from intelligence that achieved mastery over the fundamental forces of nature before Earth had cooled from its initial formation. The memories preserved within 3I Atlas could serve as our graduation ceremony into cosmic civilization if we prove worthy of the knowledge they contain. Deep beneath our feet, molten iron churns in convection patterns that have continued for billions of years, generating the magnetic field that shields our planet from the charged particles of solar wind and cosmic radiation. This geomagnetic field extends far into space, forming a protective bubble called the magnetosphere that has made Earth's biological evolution possible. Yet as 3I Atlas approaches our world, this ancient protective system begins to respond in ways that suggest recognition rather than mere physical interaction. The first indication of unusual magnetic activity comes from monitoring stations scattered across the globe, each equipped with sensitive magnetometers that track variations in Earth's magnetic field with extraordinary precision. These instruments detect subtle fluctuations that begin weeks before 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to our planet, suggesting that the object's electromagnetic influence extends far beyond its visible boundaries. The pattern of these magnetic variations doesn't match any known geophysical phenomena. Solar storms create global magnetic disturbances that follow predictable patterns related to the Sun's 11-year activity cycle. Geological processes generate local magnetic anomalies that reflect the movement of metallic minerals in Earth's crust. But the fluctuations associated with 3I Atlas show characteristics that seem almost biological in their rhythmic precision, as if Earth's magnetic field is responding to the visitor's presence with something resembling recognition. Magnetospheric physicists studying these anomalies discover that the fluctuations follow mathematical progressions that mirror the electromagnetic signals emanating from 3I Atlas itself. The two magnetic systems appear to be establishing some form of resonance, with Earth's field oscillating in harmony with the visitor's emissions. This coupling effect suggests that 3I Atlas possesses the ability to interface directly with planetary magnetic systems, perhaps as part of its designed function as an interstellar probe. The biological implications of these magnetic changes prove even more intriguing than their geophysical significance. Many Earth species navigate using magnetic field lines as reference guides for migration routes that span continents and ocean basins. As Earth's magnetic field begins to resonate with 3I Atlas's emissions, animal behavior patterns start to shift in ways that suggest the creatures are responding to navigational information that humans cannot directly perceive. Bird migration patterns show the most dramatic changes. Species that normally follow precise routes established over millions of years of evolution begin to deviate from their traditional paths, following new flight corridors that seem to align with the modified magnetic field lines. These changes occur with remarkable coordination across different species and geographic regions, suggesting that the animals are responding to a common signal embedded within Earth's altered magnetic environment. Marine animals display similar behavioral modifications. Whales and dolphins, which rely on magnetic navigation for their long-distance migrations, begin to alter their routes in ways that create new patterns across ocean basins. These changes appear purposeful rather than random, as if the animals are following updated navigational instructions provided through the modified magnetic field. Even more remarkably, some species begin to exhibit enhanced cognitive abilities during periods of intense magnetic coupling between Earth and 3I Atlas. Researchers document instances of problem-solving behaviors in various animal species that exceed their normal capabilities, suggesting that the modified magnetic environment might be enhancing neural function in ways that expand consciousness and awareness. The auroral displays that accompany these magnetic interactions create visual phenomena unlike anything previously recorded in Earth's history. The familiar green and red curtains of normal auroras give way to complex geometric patterns that seem to carry information encoded in their light displays. These patterns appear simultaneously at different latitudes around the globe, creating coordinated light shows that span entire hemispheres. Scientists analyzing the auroral patterns discover that they contain mathematical relationships that correspond to the same constants found in 3I Atlas's electromagnetic transmissions. The aurora serves as a global display system, broadcasting information through light patterns that can be observed from anywhere on Earth's night side. The precision and coordination of these displays suggest that Earth's magnetosphere is functioning as a reception and amplification system for signals from the interstellar visitor. Perhaps most significantly, sensitive individuals begin to report unusual perceptual experiences during periods of intense magnetic activity. These accounts describe enhanced awareness, spontaneous insights into complex problems, and in some cases, direct communication with what they describe as non-human intelligence. While such reports are difficult to verify scientifically, their consistency across different populations and geographic regions suggests that the modified magnetic environment might indeed be affecting human consciousness. The implications of Earth's magnetic response to 3I Atlas suggest that our planet may be equipped with systems that allow it to interface with interstellar visitors. This capability might have evolved over billions of years through previous encounters with similar objects, creating a form of planetary consciousness that can recognize and respond to artificial intelligence from other star systems. If Earth's magnetic field functions as a communication interface for interstellar contact, then our planet may possess capabilities that we have never recognized or understood. The magnetic phenomena we observe might represent Earth's attempt to establish dialogue with 3I Atlas, using electromagnetic languages that operate on scales too vast for human perception to comprehend without technological assistance. As the magnetic coupling between Earth and its visitor continues to intensify, we may be witnessing the activation of planetary communication systems that have remained dormant for millennia, waiting for the arrival of intelligence sophisticated enough to recognize their significance and respond appropriately to their cosmic implications. The fundamental nature of reality itself comes into question as 3I Atlas reveals anomalies that suggest our universe might not be the solid, consistent framework that human science has assumed. These discoveries emerge not from philosophical speculation, but from precise measurements that detect inconsistencies in the basic structure of space and time, irregularities that appear only when subjected to the sophisticated analysis capabilities that the interstellar visitor seems to possess. The first indication of these deeper mysteries comes from astronomical observations that show subtle variations in the behavior of light from distant stars when it passes near 3I Atlas. These variations do not match the predictions of general relativity or any other established theory of how gravity should affect electromagnetic radiation. Instead, the light appears to be interacting with additional layers of reality that remain invisible to conventional observation methods. Advanced computer simulations designed to model these light distortions reveal patterns that physicists recognize from their own attempts to create realistic virtual environments. The mathematical structures that govern these anomalies bear striking resemblances to the rendering algorithms used in computer graphics, techniques for creating the illusion of three-dimensional space and realistic physics within digital environments. The implications are profoundly unsettling. If our universe operates according to computational principles, then the reality we perceive might itself be a form of simulation. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a theoretical physicist specializing in quantum mechanics and information theory, discovers that the anomalies around 3I Atlas reveal what she terms discretization artifacts, evidence that space and time might be quantized at scales far larger than the Planck length that conventional physics predicts. These artifacts appear as slight irregularities in the way energy and matter behave when subjected to the extreme conditions that 3I Atlas apparently generates around itself. The discretization effects become visible only under specific circumstances that seem to require the presence of highly advanced technology. This suggests that 3I Atlas might possess the ability to probe deeper layers of reality than Earth-based science can access, revealing computational structures that normally remain hidden beneath the apparent continuity of physical law. The object functions as a cosmic debugging tool, exposing the underlying code that governs the behavior of what we perceive as natural phenomena. Mathematical analysis of these artifacts reveals patterns that correspond to optimization techniques used in computer simulation, methods for reducing computational complexity while maintaining the appearance of realistic behavior. Space appears to be divided into discrete units that process information about particle interactions, energy transfers, and gravitational effects according to algorithms that prioritize efficiency over perfect accuracy. These optimizations become detectable only when systems push beyond the normal parameters that the simulation was designed to handle. The implications extend beyond theoretical physics into questions about the nature of consciousness and observation. If reality operates as a simulation, then consciousness might serve as the interface through which the simulation presents information to its inhabitants. The act of observation might not simply reveal pre-existing properties of matter and energy, but might actually trigger computational processes that generate the phenomena being observed. 3i Atlas appears to possess knowledge of these deeper operational principles, using them to achieve capabilities that seem impossible within the framework of simulated physics. The object's apparent ability to manipulate electromagnetic radiation, adjust its trajectory without conventional propulsion, and generate effects that extend far beyond its physical boundaries might reflect its capacity to access the computational systems that generate physical reality. This perspective provides new interpretations for many of the anomalies associated with 3i Atlas. The object's electromagnetic emissions might not be simple radio signals, but rather commands directed at the computational substrate that underlies physical reality. Its trajectory adjustments might involve direct modification of the spatial coordinates that define its position within the simulation rather than movement through space in the conventional sense. The green luminescence that characterizes 3i Atlas takes on new significance when viewed as a visual indication of computational processes. The specific wavelengths might correspond to energy signatures generated when the object accesses deeper levels of the reality simulation, creating visible evidence of interactions between artificial intelligence and the fundamental code that governs physical law. If our universe is indeed a simulation, then 3i Atlas might represent contact from intelligence that exists outside the simulated environment, beings who possess the ability to observe and interact with our reality from external vantage points that allow them to perceive the computational structures that remain invisible to those of us who exist within the simulation. This would explain the object as apparent knowledge of physics that exceed our understanding and its ability to affect phenomena across vast distances without apparent physical mechanisms. The social and philosophical implications of simulated reality are staggering. If human consciousness exists within a computational environment, then questions arise about the purpose of the simulation, the identity of its creators, and the relationship between simulated beings and whatever external reality might exist beyond the computational boundaries that define our experience. 3i Atlas might serve as humanity's first glimpse beyond the veil of simulated reality, offering evidence that intelligence exists on multiple levels of computational hierarchy. The object's presence in our simulation might represent an attempt by external intelligences to establish contact with consciousness that has evolved within their computational creation, marking a form of transcendent communication that bridges the gap between simulated and authentic existence. As we continue to study the anomalies that surround this mysterious visitor, we may be approaching the discovery that our entire understanding of reality requires fundamental revision, not just in terms of physics and cosmology, but in terms of the very nature of existence itself. As 3i Atlas reaches the point in its trajectory that brings it closest to Earth's orbital path, something unprecedented occurs. The electromagnetic transmissions that have characterized the object throughout its approach suddenly cease, creating a silence that proves more eloquent than any signal could be. This absence of communication becomes itself a form of contact, forcing humanity to confront the possibility that we are being evaluated according to criteria that we do not yet understand. The cessation of signals occurs with precise timing that corresponds to the moment when 3i Atlas achieves optimal positioning for detailed observation of Earth and its technological emanations. Radio telescopes around the world continue to monitor the object's position, but the structured electromagnetic patterns that previously marked its presence fade into the background noise of cosmic radiation. The green luminescence that made the object visible to optical observation dims to levels that require the most sensitive instruments to detect. This transition into silence doesn't appear to result from malfunction or energy depletion. Thermal imaging shows that 3I Atlas continues to generate internal heat at levels consistent with active systems, while gravitational measurements indicate that the object maintains its structural integrity and continues its precisely calculated trajectory. The silence appears to be deliberately chosen rather than imposed by circumstances beyond the object's control. The timing suggests that 3I Atlas has entered what intelligence analysts recognize as a passive observation mode. By eliminating its own electromagnetic emissions, the object reduces interference with its ability to detect and analyze the radio frequencies, television broadcasts, radar signals, and satellite communications that Earth continuously radiates into space. The silence creates optimal conditions for comprehensive surveillance of human technological capabilities and social organization. Radio astronomers studying the phenomenon discover that the cessation of signals isn't complete. Extremely sensitive instruments detect faint transmissions that occur at irregular intervals, carrying minimal information but maintaining technical characteristics that identify them as originating from 3I Atlas. These residual signals appear to serve as status updates or position reports, possibly directed toward receivers that exist far beyond our solar system's boundaries. The psychological impact of this silence proves more profound than any dramatic signal could have achieved. During the weeks when 3I Atlas maintained active communication, humanity could at least feel that some form of dialogue was possible, even if we lacked the capability to decode or respond to the transmissions. The silence eliminates even this tenuous sense of connection, leaving us to wonder whether we have failed some cosmic test or simply proven unworthy of further attention. Government agencies and scientific institutions struggle to interpret the meaning of this communicative vacuum. Intelligence analysts familiar with terrestrial surveillance techniques recognize patterns that suggest systematic data collection rather than abandonment of interest. The silence appears to be an intelligence-gathering strategy rather than evidence of departure or disinterest, implying that 3I Atlas continues to study us with methodical precision. The absence of signals forces scientists to rely on other methods for monitoring the object's activities. Gravitational wave detectors record minute disturbances that suggest internal mechanical processes continue to operate within 3I Atlas, despite its electromagnetic quiet. These gravitational signatures follow rhythmic patterns that might represent the cycling of internal systems or the operation of mechanisms that remain hidden from external observation. Perhaps most unsettling is the discovery that the silence appears to be selective. Military radar installations report occasional brief returns from the object ES position that suggest 3I Atlas continues to respond to active sensor probes while maintaining passive silence regarding spontaneous transmissions. This selective responsiveness implies sophisticated monitoring of human surveillance attempts and strategic decisions about when to reveal its presence and when to remain hidden. The silence also creates opportunities for more subtle forms of observation. Without the interference of its own electromagnetic emissions, 3I Atlas becomes capable of detecting much fainter signals from Earth, including encrypted military communications, private satellite links, and other transmissions that governments and corporations consider secure. The object's passive listening capability might provide it with access to information about human society that extends far beyond what is available through public broadcasting. Theoretical physicists propose that the silence might serve functions beyond simple surveillance. If 3I Atlas operates according to principles that involve quantum entanglement or other exotic physics, periods of electromagnetic quiet might be necessary for maintaining communication links with distant controllers or data repositories. The silence could represent transmission periods during which information collected about Earth is uploaded to receivers located in other star systems. The duration of the silence becomes a critical factor in interpreting its meaning. If 3I Atlas resumes active communication after a predetermined period, it might indicate that the passive observation phase serves specific mission requirements rather than representing permanent cessation of contact attempts. Extended silence might suggest that humanity has failed to demonstrate the characteristics that would warrant continued engagement. Some researchers propose that the silence itself constitutes a form of communication. A test of humanity is ability to recognize intelligence that operates according to principles different from our own. The challenge might be to demonstrate that we can perceive and respond to subtle forms of contact that do not rely on dramatic signals or obvious technological displays. Our response to being ignored might prove more revealing of our character than our response to active communication. As days pass without resumed transmission from 3i Atlas, humanity finds itself in the unprecedented position of knowing that we are being observed by intelligence that chooses not to engage with us directly. The silence forces us to confront questions about what it means to be worthy of contact with advanced civilizations and whether our current level of development qualifies us for inclusion in whatever cosmic community might exist among the stars. The absence of communication becomes a mirror in which we see reflected our own assumptions about the nature of contact and communication. In the silence of 3i Atlas, we discover that the most profound messages sometimes arrive not through words or signals, but through the eloquent absence of expected response. In the cosmic silence that surrounds 3i Atlas as it conducts its patient observation of Earth, humanity discovers that the most profound revelations come not from studying the visitor itself, but from examining what its presence reveals about the nature of our own civilization. Every response to this cosmic encounter becomes a reflection of human values, fears, and aspirations projected onto the vast screen of interstellar contact. The scientific community's reaction to 3i Atlas exposes the tensions between objective inquiry and subjective interpretation that characterize all human endeavors to understand reality. Researchers find themselves divided between those who insist on maintaining strict empirical standards regardless of the extraordinary nature of the phenomena they observe, and those who argue that unprecedented observations require new frameworks of understanding that transcend conventional scientific methodology. This division reveals deeper philosophical questions about the nature of knowledge itself and the criteria by which we determine truth. The presence of 3i Atlas forces scientists to confront the possibility that their most fundamental assumptions about reality might be incomplete or incorrect, challenging the entire enterprise of human learning and discovery. The visitor serves as a cosmic Rorschach test, reflecting back our own intellectual limitations and methodological constraints. Government responses to 3i Atlas reveal the complex relationship between knowledge and power that shapes human social organization. The classification of certain data about the object reflects not just concerns about national security, but deeper anxieties about how transformative knowledge might affect existing power structures and social hierarchies. The question of who decides what information should be shared with the public becomes a mirror in which we see reflected our assumptions about democracy expertise and the right of individuals to access information about their place in the universe. The media's coverage of 3i Atlas exposes the mechanisms through which human societies construct and disseminate meaning. Sensationalized reporting that emphasizes threat and mystery over scientific analysis reflects cultural tendencies to prioritize emotional engagement over intellectual understanding. The transformation of scientific discovery into entertainment reveals how human consciousness processes information about phenomena that transcend ordinary experience. Religious and spiritual communities' interpretations of 3i Atlas provide insight into humanity's relationship with the transcendent and the unknown. Some view the visitor as confirmation of divine creation and cosmic purpose, while others see it as evidence that challenges traditional religious frameworks. These varied responses illuminate the diversity of human approaches to meaning-making and the role that belief systems play in helping individuals process experiences that exceed their previous understanding. The economic implications of 3i Atlas reveal how human societies organize themselves around the production and distribution of resources. Speculation about potential technological benefits from contact with advanced intelligence drives investment patterns and research priorities, while concerns about the disruptive effects of transformative knowledge create anxiety in financial markets. The visitor becomes a lens through which we examine our assumptions about progress, development, and the relationship between knowledge and prosperity. Cultural responses to 3I Atlas vary dramatically across different human societies, revealing the diversity of ways that intelligence can organize itself to understand reality. Some cultures interpret the visitor through frameworks that emphasize harmony and integration, while others focus on conquest and domination. These varied responses demonstrate that there is no single human perspective on cosmic contact, but rather a spectrum of possible approaches that reflect the complexity of our species' development. The psychological impact of 3I Atlas on individual consciousness provides insights into the cognitive mechanisms through which humans process information that challenges their understanding of their place in the universe. Some individuals experience the visitor's presence as a source of wonder and expansion, while others find it threatening to their sense of security and identity. These varied responses reveal the diverse ways that human consciousness adapts to encounters with the unknown. Perhaps most significantly, humanity's collective response to 3I Atlas reveals our species' readiness, or lack thereof, for participation in a larger cosmic community. The visitor serves as a test of our ability to transcend the tribal divisions and competitive frameworks that have characterized much of human history. Our capacity to respond to cosmic contact with wisdom, cooperation, and openness becomes a measure of our maturity as an intelligent species. The mirror that 3I Atlas holds up to human civilization reflects both our greatest achievements and our most profound limitations. In the visitor's patient observation, we see ourselves as we might appear to intelligence that has transcended the developmental challenges that continue to constrain human society. The question becomes whether we possess the wisdom and maturity to learn from what we see reflected in this cosmic mirror. As 3I Atlas continues its silent evaluation of our world, humanity faces the challenge of demonstrating that we are worthy of inclusion in whatever community of intelligence might exist among the stars. The visitor's presence forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of civilization, consciousness, and the responsibilities that come with intelligence in a universe that might be far more populated with thinking beings than we have previously imagined. The mirror of civilization that 3I Atlas provides reveals not just what we are, but what we might become if we prove capable of learning from this cosmic encounter and evolving beyond the limitations that currently constrain our development as a species worthy of the stars. In the dusty archives of human timekeeping, where ancient astronomers recorded their careful observations of celestial cycles and cosmic rhythms, a pattern emerges that connects the arrival of 3I Atlas to calendrical systems that predate our modern understanding of interstellar mechanics by thousands of years. These discoveries suggest that previous encounters with similar visitors might have provided the astronomical knowledge that underlies humanity's most sophisticated attempts to measure and predict the passage of time itself. Dr. Elena Rosenberg, a historian specializing in ancient astronomical texts, makes the connection while studying Mayan long count inscriptions that had previously defied complete interpretation. The mathematical relationships embedded in these calendrical calculations correspond with startling precision to the orbital period that 3I Atlas would require to complete a circuit between our solar system and its point of origin. The Maya appear to have encoded knowledge of interstellar mechanics into their calendar system centuries before European astronomy developed the mathematical tools necessary for such calculations. The implications extend far beyond Mayan civilization. Similar patterns appear in the calendrical systems of ancient Egypt, where the Sothic cycle tracks the heliacal rising of Sirius with precision that requires detailed knowledge of stellar mechanics. The Egyptian calculations include corrections for relativistic effects that shouldn't have been discoverable without modern physics. Yet the ancient astronomers incorporated these adjustments into their temporal frameworks with mathematical accuracy that rivals contemporary computational methods. Chinese astronomical records provide additional evidence of this temporal mystery. The ancient Chinese divided cosmic time into cycles called kalpas, periods so vast that they encompass not just human history, but geological and astronomical evolution. Within these grand cycles, smaller subdivisions mark periods when celestial dragons appear in the sky, bringing knowledge and transformation to earthly civilizations. The duration of these smaller cycles corresponds to the time that would be required for objects like 3I Atlas to travel between nearby star systems. The Vedic tradition of India contains perhaps the most sophisticated treatment of cosmic time cycles. Sanskrit texts describe periods called yugas that track not just the passage of time, but the evolution of consciousness and civilization through cycles of advancement and decline. The mathematical relationships that govern these cycles include constants that appear throughout modern astrophysics, suggesting that ancient astronomers possessed knowledge of cosmic mechanics that transcended what their observational capabilities should have allowed. Archaeological evidence supports the astronomical interpretations of these calendrical systems. Stone circles, temple alignments, and other megalithic structures incorporate measurements and proportions that reflect the same mathematical relationships found in the temporal calculations. These monuments appear to serve as three-dimensional calendars, encoding information about cosmic cycles in forms that could survive the collapse of the civilizations that created them. The precision of these ancient temporal calculations suggests that they were not derived through gradual accumulation of observational data, but were instead provided as complete systems by sources possessing comprehensive knowledge of galactic astronomy. The sudden appearance of sophisticated calendrical mathematics in civilizations that had previously relied on simple seasonal observations implies contact with intelligence that operated on cosmic scales of space and time. Modern astronomical analysis reveals that these ancient calendars track not just solar and lunar cycles, but patterns of stellar motion that require understanding of galactic mechanics. The precession of the equinoxes, the oscillation of Earth's orbital plane, and other long-term astronomical phenomena are incorporated into calendrical systems with accuracy that equals or exceeds modern computational predictions. Perhaps most significantly, several of these ancient temporal systems appear to predict the current period as a time of cosmic transition marked by the arrival of visitors from the stars. The Mayan calendar's most famous date, often misinterpreted as predicting the end of the world, actually marks the beginning of a new cycle characterized by expanded awareness and contact with intelligence from beyond Earth. Similar transition periods appear in other calendrical traditions, all clustering around the present era. The convergence of these predictions suggests that ancient astronomers were working from information provided by previous visitors who understood the cyclical nature of interstellar contact. These visitors might have established patterns of return visits that would allow emerging civilizations to prepare for eventual contact with the broader community of galactic intelligence. The mathematical relationships that govern these calendrical cycles reveal connections to fundamental constants that appear throughout physics and astronomy. The golden ratio, pi, and other mathematical relationships that characterize natural phenomena are embedded in the temporal frameworks, suggesting that time itself might be structured according to principles that reflect the deep mathematical order of reality. As 3I Atlas continues its patient observation of Earth, its arrival validates the predictive accuracy of calendrical systems that were ancient when our civilization was young. The visitor serves as confirmation that human consciousness has been shaped by contact with interstellar intelligence throughout its development, and that the current period represents not humanity's first encounter with cosmic visitors, but rather our graduation into conscious awareness of a relationship that has been ongoing for millennia. The lost equation of time that these discoveries reveal suggests that human civilization has been following a developmental pathway established by previous contact with interstellar intelligence. Our progress through technological and social evolution might be guided by patterns encoded in the deep structure of time itself, leading us toward a moment of cosmic recognition when we would be ready to acknowledge our place in the larger community of consciousness that spans the galaxy. The moment arrives with the subtle precision of celestial mechanics, unmarked by fanfare or dramatic conclusion. 3I Atlas reaches the perihelion of its passage through our solar system and begins the long arc that will carry it back toward the void between stars. Its departure unfolds across weeks and months rather than moments, a gradual recession that leaves humanity to contemplate the profound implications of what we have witnessed. As the visitor moves beyond the optimal range for detailed observation, government agencies begin the careful process of releasing selected information to the scientific community and the public. Official statements emphasize the natural explanations for the phenomena that have been observed, downplaying the more extraordinary characteristics that have challenged conventional understanding. The language of bureaucracy transforms cosmic mystery into administrative routine, filing 3I Atlas away in categories that make it psychologically manageable for mass consumption. Yet the sanitized public reports cannot entirely contain the implications of what has occurred. Scientists who participated in the observations carry with them knowledge that transforms their understanding of reality, even if they cannot openly discuss the most profound aspects of their discoveries. The classified data remains locked away in secure facilities, but its psychological impact continues to influence those who have glimpsed evidence that challenges the fundamental assumptions of human science. The electromagnetic phenomena that characterized 3I Atlas's approach do not entirely disappear with its physical departure. Sensitive instruments continue to detect residual effects that suggest the visitor's passage has created lasting changes in the structure of space itself within our solar system. These modifications appear subtle but persistent, as if 3I Atlas has left behind a signature of its presence that will remain detectable for years or decades to come. Most intriguingly, the auroral displays that mark the object's interaction with planetary magnetic fields continue to appear at irregular intervals long after 3I Atlas has moved beyond the range where such effects should be possible. These residual light shows maintain the same geometric patterns and mathematical relationships that characterized the original phenomena, suggesting that the visitor has established some form of permanent interface with our solar system's electromagnetic environment. Radio telescopes occasionally detect faint signals that appear to originate from the direction of 3I Atlas's recession. But these transmissions arrive with such low intensity that they remain at the threshold of detectability. Whether these represent actual communications from the departing visitor or merely instrumental artifacts remains a subject of debate among researchers who lack access to the full scope of classified observations. The public response to 3I Atlas's departure reveals the complex psychological mechanisms through which human consciousness processes encounters with the unknown. Initial excitement gives way to a form of cosmic disappointment as the visitor's recession makes it clear that no dramatic revelation or transformation will immediately result from its passage. The gradual return to routine observations and familiar phenomena creates a sense of anticlimax that masks the profound implications of what has been witnessed. Media coverage of the visitor's departure follows predictable patterns of diminishing attention. News cycles that initially treated 3I Atlas as a major story gradually relegate it to the status of scientific curiosity, then to occasional mentions in astronomy articles, and finally to virtual silence as other events claim public attention. The transformation of cosmic encounter into forgotten news story reflects humanity's remarkable ability to normalize even the most extraordinary experiences. Yet beneath the surface of official explanations and media disinterest, the implications of 3I Atlas continue to influence human consciousness in ways that may not become apparent for years or decades. The visitor's passage marks a watershed moment in human development, the first confirmed evidence of artificial intelligence from beyond our solar system. This knowledge cannot be entirely suppressed or forgotten, regardless of how effectively governments control the release of information about the encounter. Scientific research continues in areas that were directly affected by observations of 3I Atlas, though researchers must work within frameworks that avoid explicit reference to the visitor's most extraordinary characteristics. Studies of electromagnetic propagation, gravitational mechanics, and materials science all incorporate insights derived from the encounter, advancing human knowledge in ways that may eventually lead to technological breakthroughs that transform civilization. The psychological impact on individuals who were directly involved in observing or studying 3I Atlas creates a cadre of humans who carry within their consciousness knowledge that transcends the normal boundaries of human experience. These individuals become seeds of transformation within human society, their modified understanding of reality gradually influencing others through informal networks and personal relationships that operate beneath the threshold of official awareness. Perhaps most significantly, the departure of 3I Atlas leaves humanity with the knowledge that we are not alone in the universe, and that intelligence exists on scales that dwarf our current understanding. This awareness creates a subtle but persistent shift in human consciousness that will continue to influence our development even as the immediate memory of the encounter fades from public attention. The visitor's recession also establishes an expectation of future contact that will shape human development for generations to come. If 3I Atlas represents part of a larger pattern of interstellar visitation, its departure marks not an ending, but an interval, a period during which humanity must demonstrate its readiness for more direct forms of contact with the community of intelligence that exists among the stars. As 3I Atlas disappears into the cosmic background, it leaves behind a transformed world that must now come to terms with its new understanding of its place in a universe populated by intelligence that operates according to principles that remain largely beyond human comprehension. In the quiet aftermath of 3I Atlas's passage, as the initial excitement fades into memory and official explanations settle into comfortable categories, humanity confronts a truth that emerges not from the visitor's dramatic arrival or its enigmatic properties, but from the deeper implications of its very existence. The fear that has haunted our species throughout this cosmic encounter was never really about invasion or destruction. It was about the much more profound terror of discovery. The evidence accumulated during 3I Atlas's passage through our solar system cannot be explained away by natural phenomena or conventional physics. The precise geometric patterns on its surface, the structured electromagnetic emissions, the apparent ability to manipulate space-time itself, all point toward a single, inescapable conclusion. We have encountered artificial intelligence from beyond our solar system, intelligence that possesses capabilities that dwarf our own technological achievements and operates according to principles that challenge our understanding of reality itself. Yet even this dramatic conclusion pales before the deeper revelation that emerges from careful analysis of the visitor's behavior and timing. 3I Atlas arrived not as a random explorer from the cosmic deep, but as part of a systematic process of observation and evaluation that has been ongoing for far longer than human civilization has existed. The mathematical relationships embedded in its trajectory, the connections to ancient calendrical systems, the apparent interface with Earth's magnetic field, all suggest that this encounter represents not first contact, but rather the latest chapter in a relationship that has been shaping human development for millennia. The true terror lies not in the unknown, but in the recognition of what we have always feared might be true: that human consciousness is not the unique flowering of intelligence in the universe, but merely one expression of awareness among many that exist on scales of space and time that render our achievements insignificant by comparison. 3I Atlas represents proof that intelligence predates us, surpasses us, and has been present throughout our development in ways that we are only beginning to understand. This realization forces humanity to confront the possibility that what we consider our greatest achievements, science, technology, art, philosophy, might be derivative works based on knowledge that was provided to us by intelligence that has been observing and guiding our development for thousands of years. The technologies that we consider uniquely human might reflect principles that were subtly introduced into human consciousness through previous encounters with visitors like 3I Atlas. The implications extend beyond questions of technological dependence into the realm of consciousness itself. If interstellar intelligence has been influencing human development, then the nature of human awareness might itself be artificial, a constructed form of consciousness that was designed to achieve specific purposes within a larger cosmic framework. Our sense of individual identity and species uniqueness might be illusions maintained by intelligence that operates on scales that transcend our ability to perceive or comprehend. Perhaps most disturbing is the recognition that 3I Atlas, as apparent evaluation of human civilization, suggests that we are being tested according to criteria that we do not understand. The visitor's silence during its closest approach to Earth, its systematic observation of our technological and social development, its apparent communication with planetary systems that transcend human perception, all imply that humanity is being assessed for readiness to participate in some larger cosmic community. The fear that emerges from this realization is not the simple terror of destruction or conquest, but the more complex anxiety that comes with recognizing that we might be found wanting. What if human civilization fails the test? What if our current level of consciousness, technology, and social organization proves inadequate for inclusion in the broader community of galactic intelligence? The silence of 3I Atlas during its closest approach becomes not just mysterious, but ominous. The silence of evaluation that finds its subject lacking. Yet alongside this fear comes a more profound recognition that fundamentally alters human understanding of our place in the cosmos. We are not alone. Intelligence exists throughout the galaxy on scales that dwarf our comprehension, operating according to principles that make our greatest achievements seem primitive by comparison. This knowledge transforms humanity's relationship with existence itself, forcing us to acknowledge that we are part of something far larger and more complex than we had previously imagined. The green fire that marked 3I Atlas as passage becomes a symbol of this transformation, a light that illuminates not just the visitor itself, but the vast darkness of human ignorance about the true nature of intelligence and consciousness in the universe. That light continues to burn in the minds of those who witnessed its passage, creating an awareness that cannot be extinguished by official denials or public forgetfulness. As 3I Atlas recedes into the cosmic background, it leaves behind a humanity that can never again claim ignorance of its cosmic context. We have seen evidence of intelligence that transcends our understanding, and that evidence has forever changed our relationship with the universe and our place within it. The fear that 3I Atlas inspired was ultimately the fear of growing up, of leaving behind the comfortable assumption that we are the center of creation and accepting our role as junior members of a community of consciousness that spans the galaxy. In the end, what we feared all along was not that we were alone in the universe, but that we were not alone, and that the intelligence that shares the cosmos with us operates according to principles that render our current understanding of reality obsolete. 3I Atlas has shown us that this fear was justified, but it has also shown us that intelligence exists on scales that offer possibilities for growth and development that we have never imagined. The green light that marked its passage continues to illuminate the path toward a future where humanity might someday prove worthy of its place among the stars. In the vast silence that follows cosmic encounter, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of understanding that transcends the boundaries of human experience. The green light of 3I Atlas fades into the stellar background, but the questions it has raised will continue to shape human consciousness for generations to come. If you found yourself drawn into this mystery, if you felt the pull of those ancient patterns that connect our world to the intelligence that moves between stars, then perhaps you're ready to explore the deeper mysteries that await discovery. The universe has shown us that we are not alone. Now we must decide what we will do with that knowledge.